over a week ago that I saw Kong Skull Island, and I wanted to review the movie. Now, the original King Kong is my favorite movie of all time. I think it's really one of the greatest movies ever made. I'm a fan of Citizen Kane, but I enjoy King Kong much more, even though Citizen Kane is also a lot of fun. It's an enjoyable movie. There's just something incredible about King Kong, the original 1933 King Kong. It's just, ever since that's just a beloved movie. Now, that being said, I definitely did not like, the first time I saw it, the 1976
GPS
remake
signal lost
of King Kong. That was a big disappointment to me when I finally got around to seeing it. I remember I bought it VHS, and I was just very, very disappointed with it. I think I only actually watched it. I bought the VHS because I wanted to own all the King Kong movies, as opposed to other movies in the Kong, canonical King Kong movies or official King Kong movies, like King Kong vs. Godzilla is a fun movie. King Kong Escapes, also a fun movie. Not that serious, but definitely a lot of fun. And I remember also taping off of TBS King Kong Lives, which was the sequel to the 76 King Kong. It came out 10 years later in 86. I remember taping that off TV, and that movie I did enjoy. It wasn't as uptight and full of itself as the 76 King Kong. I realized that it wasn't a good movie. I think that's part of
GPS signal lost.
The appeal of this movie was that it wasn't trying to be a good movie. It knew it was a B movie. Just like, King Kong Lives King Kong Escapes and King Kong vs. Godzilla also were movies that, were self-aware of their goofiness, Son of Kong, also a fun movie. I think it's that right balance, really, Son of Kong, because on one hand, it's extremely realistic. It starts out like smacking you in the face with the realism of what just happened in King Kong, and that Carl Denham is facing lawsuits and facing indictment, and how he runs away and so forth. There's, and then it goes back into the fantasy world of Skull Island. But up until they get to Skull Island, it's realistic, gritty, but also fun movie, Son of Kong. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's not as good as the original. Of course it isn't, but it's a fun little movie, and it's short, which makes it, a nice way to spend a little over an hour, which is really nice. Now, those are all the canonical or official King Kong movies. Of course, there's also Mighty Joe Young, which is not officially a King Kong movie, but it's made by the same people as the original Kong, and has some of the original cast and so forth. That's within the Kong genre without being in the Kong universe in a way. And then you have all the rip-offs, which I really don't even remember watching a full one of the rip-offs. In the 70s there were all those rip-offs. I've never watched any of those, so I don't really have any comment on those, but I understand, some were better than others, and some were really, really bad. Well, that being said, then you have the 2005 remake. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't see it in the theaters. I got the DVD and I watched it, and I personally enjoyed it because I feel it's an homage to the original, although I know some people really, really hate that movie. The hatred that I had for the 76 King Kong was unparalleled. Now I'm trying to give it a second chance. It's on Hulu, and I through it, and I'll probably try to watch the rest of it. You know, and I realized, all right, it's not as bad as I thought, but I just felt it was insulting to the grandeur of the original film. And also because it was so full of itself. And now, as far as the 05 film, which was also full of itself, but I enjoyed it because it was an homage to the original. You know, it definitely fit in to a lot of the things the original, changed certain things. It was dreadfully long, that's for sure. And the original was pretty long, as far as especially movies back then would go. But I enjoyed it. The only main complaint I had about it was Jack Black. I'm not a big fan of Jack Black. I don't dislike him, but he's not Robert Armstrong. He doesn't fit in that role of Carl Denham. But then I was thinking, nobody's really Robert Armstrong. You know, that's what I was thinking all the time since I saw that movie. Nobody's really Robert Armstrong. Now I see Kong Skull Island, and I realize there is an actor today who probably would have, in my opinion, been a better Carl Denham for the Peter Jackson film, and that is John Goodman. And it only struck me now of how good of an actor John Goodman is. I mean, you know, I liked him in The Artist, but what I really remember him from when I was a kid was Matinee. And in the movie Matinee, which was 1993 or 1994, thereabout, so I was a little kid when that came out, and I saw that in the theater. And that movie, first of all, was an homage to all the 50s and early 60s sci-fi and horror monster movies. It directly references a lot of movies. You know, I remember they took lines from like Beginning of the End, the Bird-Eye Gordon movie. I'm looking forward to Monster Bash so I can actually meet Bird-Eye Gordon. You know, I have his book autographed. I got that from him, but you know, now he's going to be at Monster Bash this year. I missed the last time he came. He had something to, you know, and they only announced it last minute that he was coming, and I had a wedding that day, and I really regretted not getting to meet him. And now that he's going to be at Monster Bash, I'm really looking forward to that. You know, we hope he'll be healthy and well for that. I mean, there's so many great people going to be at Monster Bash this year. I mentioned Mighty Joe Young, so Terry Moore is going to be there. That's, you know, if you are anywhere, you know, within, you know, 800 miles of Pittsburgh, you know, it's worthwhile to go out to Monster Bash if you're a fan of the old monster movies like I am. I mean, this is, you know, this is really one of the few things that me and my family, we go away. It's our like only vacation for the year. It's a weekend. It's very affordable. You know, there's motels. You know, the hotel there where it is sold out, but there's other motels around it which are pretty affordable. And then you have, and the tickets to the show are very affordable, and it's just the best convention I've ever been at. Well, I haven't really been to a lot of conventions, but I can't say enough good things about Monster Bash. And like, I'm just excited about who's going to be there this year. Like I mentioned, Bird-Eye Gordon, Terry Moore, and Larry Storch is going to be there. He was supposed to be there, and he wasn't well one time. And I was going to go. He had a birthday party this year. I was thinking of going. I wasn't going to go in the end, but like our car broke down that day. But like I was thinking of going, whatever. But it wasn't really my scene. You know, I knew it wasn't going to be something I would enjoy really. But to go and meet him at Monster Bash, I'm really looking forward to that. You know, because I was a big fan of F Troop. So looking forward to that. But going back to Kong Skull Island, John Goodman, like I said, he was in this movie Matinee, and the character he played was really based pretty much on William Castle. It was an homage to William Castle. And William Castle, in a way, was like a real-life Carl Denham figure, in a way, not with the adventure ways how Merian C. Cooper actually was in real life. And like, if you actually learn about the life of Merian C. Cooper, it'll blow your mind. It's like he was real life, Indiana Jones, adventure guy, a real life Carl Denham. Like, he was like, a very interesting figure in history. Fascinating person, and also with a lot of admirable traits. If you learn about how he with World War II, he sold his business because he didn't want to seem like he was profiting off the war, because it was useful to the war effort something, and so he didn't want to seem like he's profiting from the war, and instead he re-enlisted in the army and served with great honor and distinction in World War II and in World War I. Really incredible person, Merian C. Cooper. But anyway, thinking about John Goodman in Matinee, I realized he would have been the perfect choice in 2005. That would have made the movie so much better. If nothing personal against Jack Black, but John Goodman really would have been a perfect Carl Denham. He's probably the closest thing that we have today that I can think of to someone like Robert Armstrong. So that's just my take on this. And so by choosing him in a kind of a similar Carl Denham type of character, they really righted that wrong in a way in Kong Skull Island. So now I'm going to start talking about Kong Skull Island. So spoiler alert, I might talk about some spoilers. That was one of the main things I really wanted to bring up, was how I felt that John Goodman was cast wonderfully in this, and he would have been a perfect pick. I mean, almost in this movie, because it's less of a serious movie, Jack Black could have actually been better in this movie if John Goodman had been in the first movie. Although John Goodman is the perfect pick for this movie, but if John Goodman had been in the 2005 movie, and it would have been redundant to cast him in this movie, maybe for this movie Jack Black would have been a good pick, because it is less of a serious movie. It is more self-aware of being a B-movie. Even though it's beautifully shot, it's well cast, but it's like a big budget B-movie basically. It has a pretty flimsy story, a nice story, an enjoyable story, but it's nothing really major. It's not a wow movie the way the original King Kong was, even though the original King Kong was just trying to be a good movie. It wasn't a B movie, it was definitely an A movie. I remember seeing a trailer from the 1938 re-release, and they said this is what movies were made for, and that's
GPS signal lost.
That's exactly what King Kong is. That's what movies were made for. The original 33 King Kong. This movie is much more of a program or B movie, but with a big budget and with a great cast. And it's a lot of fun, but it's not a deep movie that you're going to think about, what is the social commentary here, even though there is some social commentary, and certainly I enjoy the fact that it's a historical fiction that, starts off with World War II, goes to Vietnam. I'm a big history buff, so that aspect of the film definitely appeals to me. As a religious person, I'm uncomfortable with the level of cursing in the movie, but I understand they want it to be realistic, and it definitely is realistic, and it's not over the top, it's exploitive. It fits in. The same thing. The violence is quite shocking on one hand, but on the other hand, it's not exploitative. It's realistic, and and appropriate for the film, especially trying to, capture that Vietnam era, grittiness and so forth. So it really is, most of the characters don't really fit into the 70s, except that one guy with the mustache and the afro. Like, he looks like a 70s guy. A lot of these other characters, they're trying a little bit, but it doesn't really matter because they do a pretty good job. And John C. Reilly is great, and it's really his story. Basically the story arc and the plot of the movie is really surrounding him, and he's really probably the best part of the movie. His character and their whole, his whole story of how he got stranded in World War II. And, things like that did happen. There were soldiers who were MIA, not on Monster Islands as far as we know, but there were MIA soldiers, who were discovered later and didn't know the war ended and things like that. And there were Twilight Zone episodes about this. I mean, these type of things, it's nothing so special, it's nothing so incredible. It's obviously just a movie to set up for the Godzilla vs. King Kong movie, and has some great Easter eggs for the King Kong fans, King Kong nerds like me. One thing was how he points out the shipwreck, and he's like, this must have been about 10 years before I came, and he came in 44, so that brings you back to 34, which is just a year after 33, so it's about the same time. And the interesting thing is that in the original movie, the ship was called the Venture, and here we see it's called the Wanderer, but it has the chains, so, and he gets caught in the chains, so that's an homage to 33. What actually was that there was a novel that came out just before the movie came out in 33 by Edgar Wallace and Marion C. Cooper, and, I think Ruth Rose helped on it, and there was one other, Lovelace was the other one who helped to make this novel, and in the novel,
GPS signal lost.
the name of the ship was the Wanderer, and so that's where the name was taken from. So it is, an homage to that. So many things are just, taken right out of the other movies. The circle of fog around the island, that's from the 76 King Kong. Throwing trees at helicopters, that you see in King Kong Escapes. The octopus, they call them Meyer squid in the website. That's seems to be pointing to the original King Kong versus Godzilla in 62, 63. I mean, what else do we have of these movies? The fact that the ship was shipwrecked, kind of, that the Wanderer was shipwrecked, kind of pointing to Son of Kong. Even though obviously this is not in the same universe as the 33 King Kong, because nobody seems to know about. It's like an alternate universe of that. Like, what if they didn't bring Kong to New York and it just or was there just some government cover-up in the 30s, of this whole disaster that took place in 1933? I don't know. I mean, that's a little far-fetched. So it's more likely that this is like an alternate history that, like, if they never, if, let's say, Carl Denham got there, but it was just everyone got eaten and they never went back, is basically, what this seems to be pointing to. Samuel Jackson's character is kind of a reference to, I don't remember the name of other people have said this, to the general in, what's the name of that movie, in King Kong Lives. So, possible reference there. So, all in all, it's a fun movie. It's not a deep movie. It's not a deep thinking movie. It's not a very special movie, but it's a lot of fun and it's very well made, even though it's not tremendously well written. It's not poorly written either. It's just a nice, fun, has some touching moments. Certain things, again, I want to say, as a religious person, are uncomfortable, especially certain things in the beginning when they're still in Vietnam, are not really for kids, although it might go over their heads. Thankfully there's no nudity, there's no inappropriate situations. It's other than some suggestions in the beginning. But it's very violent and there is cursing, so it's not really, it's not really for kids, but it's, but still, kids might enjoy it. It depends. You have to know your kids. You have to know what you're willing to expose them to. A more pious person wouldn't. But all in all, it's an enjoyable, fun little movie. It's not too long, which is great. And that's really just about it,
In a quarter mile, continue on to Pennsylvania 33 North.
I know, like, Dark Corners, which is one of my favorite YouTube channels, they said, he said he didn't want to see Kong Skull Island, and they took a poll, and he won that he wouldn't have to see it. And, I told him he didn't have to see it. I voted he didn't have to see it, but I would have loved that he didn't see it.
Continue on Pennsylvania 33 North for 2 miles.
And reviewed it. That would have been, it would have been fun to hear his review of it. But I understand why he's not interested in it. He really did not like the 05 King Kong, and he had the Career of Kong, a great video where he talks about the whole history of the official King Kong movies. But anyway, it's a fun movie. It's an exciting movie. It's the first movie I ever saw in 3D in the theater. That was really awesome. I'd seen, the blue-green, blue-red, or green and red, or blue and red 3D glasses types things, on VHS tapes I had, which were always kind of difficult to see. But this was, like, really good. This was done very well. And, I kind of regret I didn't see other movies in 3D, like Star Wars and stuff, But definitely, if you enjoy the King Kong movies, as I do, you're not going to be...
GPS signal lost.
You're not going to be disappointed in this movie the way, like, for example, a lot of people were disappointed by the 76 King Kong. It's more along the lines of something like, King Kong versus Godzilla, that type of thing. Alright, well, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I look forward to discussing.
In a quarter mile, keep right to stay on US 209 North. Follow signs for I-80 East, Stroudsburg.
Give me some comments. I'd love to continue this conversation in the comments section below. Tell me
keep
what
right
you
to stay
thought
on
about
US
the
209
movie.
North.
If you saw Kong Skull Island, what you thought of it. I would give it something like 3 stars, 3 out of 5 stars. Like, it's a good movie, or even 3 out of 4 stars.
Continue on US 209 North for 4 miles.
It's a good movie, but it's a fun movie. It's not like a great movie. It's not like but it's not a bad movie. It's like a fun B-movie type of thing. It would be like, it reminds me in a way of a lot of, like, Roger Corman's type of movies, which, especially the plot, would be like something Roger Corman would do. And the thing was Roger Corman didn't have these budgets. And so that shows, the brilliance of Corman, because he's, like how he was able to make a movie like this, basically, not with the special effects, but basically everything but the special effects and the budget. He would make movies like this in a couple of days, and in a way, it kind of seems like a Corman movie. In a way, it almost seems like an homage. It's interesting because Corman in '76 was thinking of making his own King Kong movie because there was claims that the novel was in public domain. What that was in relation to whether or not to make a movie, because there was Universal wanted to make a King Kong movie set in the 30s in '76, and there was a whole lawsuit over that. In the end, only the '76 King Kong got made. In a way, the '05 King Kong was kind of that King Kong movie that was supposed to be made, and I would have probably enjoyed that more. But on the other hand, again, a lot of times in the '70s when they remade movies, it was the whole point was just to remake the same, especially the '30s type movies that they remade in the '70s, like The Front Page and stuff like that. It was like we're just going to do the same movie but add cursing, add 4-letter words. I mean, that's exactly what The Front Page was when they remade The Front Page in the '70s. And The Front Page is a great play. I mean, His Girl Friday was probably the best version of The Front Page, but Ben Hecht is always great. Charles MacArthur, and Ben Hecht. You can't go wrong with Ben Hecht. And especially he wrote Perfidy also. So I mean, so that being said, like I said, I don't usually give ratings for these type of movies or anything, but I would give Kong Skull Island like 3 stars. Whether it's 3 stars out of 4 stars or 3 stars out of 5 stars, I would still give it 3 stars no matter what it was, because that's and it might even be like a 2.5 stars type of movie, but because if it was just based on the story and the script, it's a B movie. It's not that good, but the acting, the cast, the special effects, the action is great fun. It's not deep. It's nothing to write home about. But it's not the spiritual experience like I was talking about the Star Wars movies. And I'm kind of disappointed at it because I try to find spirituality when I go to the movies. I try to find God when I go to the movies. There are certain spiritual elements to the movies, but it's just the movie is thankfully short. I like that about the movie. So I mean, like a movie like Rogue One, especially Jeddah, was just was Yerushalayim, was Mecca or Jerusalem or anything, and so the spirituality of that was immense and intense. This movie, all right, so there's a Avodah of Kong, and these people and
in a quarter mile, merge onto I-80 East.
All right, it's something, but it's not my type. It's not really, doesn't speak to me as deeply. The one thing that I disliked about the movie is, again, this whole, which I mentioned in another video, this whole environmentalist, leftist topic, like, we don't belong. It's in a way, it's kind of anti-humanist.
Continue on I-80 East for 4 miles.
View of the world, anti-human view of the world. It comes very much from the bleak, evolutionary, Darwinian ideology of that's really human negative in a way, and that is definitely something that is uncomfortable to me. But I noticed that they didn't play it up as much in the film as they did in the trailers. There was some mention of this, we don't belong here, you shouldn't have come here, that type of thing. There's the, and I don't like films that try to impose an ideology that's different than mine. However, on the other hand, it doesn't really impose it as much, and I'm open-minded enough to explore different ideas. It helps me kind of to understand my own approach, my own, Weltanschauung, my own world outlook on the world and religious outlook on the world. And so certainly it negates a biblical worldview. But of course it's a fantasy film. It's not meant to be taken that seriously. But that is something, you should be aware of when you're watching a film like this, especially if you want to maintain a biblical worldview, and that's something that's valuable to you. Don't let, if you're going to watch a movie like this for fun, and like I often say, you can thank God for the feeling of fun of watching the movie. Despite that, don't get carried away,
In 2 miles, take exit 309 for US 209 North, Pennsylvania 447 North toward Marshall's Creek.
And in a certain sense, when you watch these movies and you recognize the message and it's something that you don't want to embrace, that's a message you don't want to embrace, and you're cognizant of that and you're mindful of that, it really does elevate, in a sense, the movie watching experience, because you don't let yourself get carried away in the message of the film, but rather you can compartmentalize to enjoy the film as it is. I mean, I saw a whole discussion, someone said from the Huffington Post, of how King Kong is basically racist. And the thing is that in general, first of all, Marion C. Cooper and Ernest B. Schoedsack, they were always upset when people tried
GPS signal lost.
think too much into King Kong, the original King Kong. They were like, it's just a movie, don't think that much about it. That was their approach to the film. Even though so many people have thought about it, it reminds me of what Moshe Weinberger told us in high school. He's like, the difference between, Torah, which has all the depth that's intended in it, that every homily that we make was given to Moses at Sinai in some sense, whether it means it literally or it means it figuratively or in potential. That's something else. But, like he said, people were interviewing, Simon and Garfunkel, like, wow, your lyrics are so deep, and does it mean this, does it mean that? And like, they were like, like Paul Simon was like, I was just thinking about my girlfriend, like how Moshe Weinberger, he said, like, imagine, people go to Shakespeare, and they're like, Bill, what were you thinking when you wrote, the 13th sonnet? And it's like, I don't know how to sell this book and make money. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking anything so deep like you're imagining. So the same thing is with King Kong.
In a quarter mile, continue on to Pennsylvania 447 North.
People imagine depth to this movie that doesn't exist, that wasn't intended, but perhaps there's a certain level of siyata d'shmaya even in art that God inspires artists to create art for a certain reason, to bring out certain messages. That's certainly possible. Certainly I believe in a tremendous level of divine providence in general, to the point that would fit into that. So, that's not so far-fetched. But anyway, the real idea, what I had here, was to say, that in this Huffington Post, they were saying, you're feeding into racism by continuing, the King Kong genre and the King Kong legacy, and it's essentially a racist legacy. And really, I always heard, from people who try to make, exposition.
GPS signal lost.
What's the word? Expository. I don't remember the word now. Exposition. I don't remember the word. I'm so dumb. Of King Kong often said the opposite, that really it was an anti-racist movie because it was saying, but in reality, like one video said, I'm not going to get into it because like one video pointed out that by calling King Kong racist, in a way is more racist. And so that's why I'm not going to touch that. By accusing the film of racism is really more racist than the film itself. And so for that reason, I'm just going to leave well enough alone as far as that's concerned. But again, this is a movie that really does not have too many deep things. It's not like, Kurt Siodmak, he ran away from the Holocaust and everything. So like when he wrote The Wolfman, he was actually, he actually had certain things in mind when he was writing the film that were beyond, the simple meaning of the film. And that's not something that you really have, according to the makers of King Kong, that was not in the original King Kong. Now, this movie, it seems like that environmental message is intentional. It's not something that we're reading into it. And it's an anti-human, and also it does run against the biblical worldview. On the other hand, that was, as far as the period setting, it fits kind of well, because in the 70s, that was kind of the ideology of the time. And so, historically speaking, it's an anti-biblical worldview fits into a movie that's supposed to take place in the 70s, meaning that's the worldview of these people, not necessarily the worldview of the filmmakers. But on the other hand, there is, there is kind of the allegory here between, which is kind of troubling and kind of disturbing, and giving what to think about, was, how Jackson's character, how Samuel L. Jackson's character hated Kong and wanted to kill him. And the reason was because Kong killed his men. And so it's a value of human life over animal life. And it is, in a way, it's really a biblical value that an animal that kills a human is liable to the death penalty in a biblical worldview. I'd call Chayad Rishenu. I will...
In a quarter mile, at the traffic circle, take the second exit onto 7 Bridge Road.
I will require the blood from any living thing, meaning if an animal kills a man, the animal deserves to die. On the other hand, they go to save Kong. I mean, the thing was that essentially it wouldn't be necessary. Nothing would be gained by killing Kong. That's the first aspect. Killing Kong is not going to bring these men back. And also, right, they were trying to find Chapman. When I saw the movie at the beginning, I thought he was the chaplain.
Exit the traffic circle onto 7 Bridge Road.
Which it originally excited me, but the thing
Continue on 7 Bridge Road for a half mile.
I didn't see anything to indicate he was a chaplain, and then I saw, his name said Chapman, not Chaplin. So, I thought maybe there would be some religious aspect, but it wasn't. But
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Milford Road.
There were issues there of was Samuel L. Jackson actually caring about Chapman, or was he just caring about getting the weapons, taking revenge? What was actually going on here? So there's...
Turn right onto Milford Road, U.S. Business 209, then turn left onto Pennsylvania 402 North.
There are some complicated issues here. Another complicated issue related to that, though, was how they wanted to save Kong from Samuel L. Jackson. And what's the...
Turn left onto Pennsylvania 402
significance
North.
Of that? And the main significance, though, was that the skull... their fear was that...
Continue on Pennsylvania 402 North for 25 miles.
Would Kong then go and eventually show up on their doorstep, as John Goodman's character said, and then that would be... that's the reason why they wanted to destroy Kong. But the fact was Kong was protecting the people from the skull crawlers. So therefore, it's still a humanist and a human-centered reason for saving Kong, not just because of the inherent value of Kong, even though he's an animal, but rather because his role in the ecosystem is one that comes to benefit humanity. And so I think that in a way also, discusses the issues of, bigger and smaller issues in general in ethics. So there is a certain depth to that, what comes to mind is the bombing of Hiroshima and perhaps also Nagasaki, of how the ethics of that event were essentially because it wound up saving more people in the long run, because more people, including Japanese people, would have been killed if not for that event. And so the difficulty of that choice and the essential morality of the choice was very vital. And so the same thing here, the question of the morality of, do we destroy Kong because he destroyed humans? Well, why did he destroy humans? Was he acting in self-defense? That really doesn't matter that much in a biblical worldview. But as far as the fact that here Kong was essentially a protector of humankind and protecting the people from the skull crawlers, that therefore made his life valuable, even from a moral point in a biblical worldview. So that's definitely a possibility here. The ending is touching and nice, and is a feel-good ending. That stinger at the end, hinting to the Toho monsters coming out, Godzilla and Rodan and Mothra and Ghidorah. I know they're going to call it King Ghidorah. I still like to call it Ghidorah. So that's definitely something to look forward to. It's something that's, enjoyable and something to look forward to. So all in all, and if you talk about it and you think about it, there is a certain level of depth to this movie. But for the most part, it's just a fun little B movie. I mean, a lot of those B movies had depth. Look at a movie like It Conquered the World. A lot of the Corman movies, had some kind of message. It Conquered the World is a perfect example. Even Teenage Caveman to a certain extent. So and really even the social commentary of his three comedies were topical and interesting as well. Particularly A Bucket of Blood. To a lesser extent, Little Shop of Horrors, but even though that's the most popular of them because it was remade, it was a musical. The original was not a musical, but also in a way, Creature from the Haunted Sea, which really, very low budget movie. It's just basically rehashing the same idea, which really essentially is based on other scripts that Corman had used and that Arkoff used and others used previously at American International. So, there's a lot going on here, a lot to talk about. So, in a way, it is still an homage to, the Corman-esque approach to filmmaking.
GPS signal lost.
I could continue talking about this for a while, but we've already gone on for 45 minutes. So thank you for watching, or at this point listening, which is probably better because there's not much to see. And please like, share, and subscribe, and put more. Let's continue this discussion in the comments because I think it's a fun thing to talk about. It's definitely a fun discussion, and since Dark Corners didn't want to touch it, I do though highly recommend Dark Corners if you're a fan of bad old movies, mostly horror and sci-fi, not exclusively, but mostly B and lower movies, not always, and they do have some classic movie commentaries that are quite interesting and serious, as well as their comedic, almost Mystery Science Theater 3000-esque reviews. They're out of London. They're just really great. So I just want to make a shout out to Dark Corners. If you're a fan of these type of movies, check them out. The videos are funny, they're well done, high production values, not like mine, and they are short, also not like mine. So it's definitely a lot of fun. If you're looking for something a bit longer, also funny, from Canada, you got Brandon Tenold's reviews. His are generally a bit longer, about 20 minutes, sometimes a half hour. Also very interesting, very funny. And also, I don't know, there's a certain, when he talks about when he was a kid, because we're about the same age, and watching these movies on like Monster Vision on TNT, which is exactly how I saw them. And those type of discussions really, touch my heart. So it, reminds me of, being a little, 10-year-old kid, taping these shows late night, setting up the VCR to tape these movies late at night on TNT and TBS and Sci-Fi Channel and all of that, back when, back in those days, just, brings back good memories. So that's something, that I enjoy about Brandon Tenold's reviews, and both of them reference quite often Mystery Science Theater 3000, and we're looking forward to the new Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'm being stoked to be disappointed, and hopefully I won't be disappointed. I remember there's a video of when we met Joel. It was actually the second time we met him. We met Joel Hodgson at Monster Bash, like I mentioned earlier in the film, in this video, and we were exhausted because we just drove all the way to Pittsburgh, and we were just taken away, and he was just basically there for us. It was like, it was Sunday already. He was just hanging out with us, and it was just like, we're hanging out with Joel from Mystery Science Theater 3000. Like, we were both like totally blown away. And the first, when we came in, we were hanging out with him, and then a few hours later, he just like called us over and started doing magic tricks and stuff, and like we got the video of that, and it was awesome. And I remember, and he remembered us. I mean, I guess he doesn't see too many Hasidic Jews, coming to him, but like we saw him at Cinematic Titanic maybe a year earlier. at least 6 months. It was either 6 months earlier or a year and a half earlier. I don't remember. My memory's not that good right now. But that night, we were in line and we got the autographs from everybody, and like we were also exhausted. It wasn't as far away. It was only in Philly, which is, Joel lives in the Philly area. But then, excuse me, and meet him there in Pittsburgh, and he remembered us, excuse me, and he said, there's going to be the new Mystery Science Theater 3000. I said, oh, you mean Other Space, which was the Yahoo series that he did together with Trace Beaulieu. And he said, no, there's going to be a new Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I'm, Jonah Ray, I don't know, I kind of have a love-hate thing with Jonah Ray. I don't know, especially like some of his jokes kind of anti-Semitic, but usually I'm able to laugh at myself enough. But that usually doesn't bother me. Somehow it rubbed me the wrong way, which is not typical of me. But then I posted my feelings on Twitter of how I felt like this is going to be like when Poochie shows up, on the Itchy and Scratchy show, and comic book guy in The Simpsons, he's like, worst episode ever. And then Bart is like, they've given you years of entertainment for free, and who are you to judge? Type of thing. And the thing is, well, with Kickstarter, wasn't not for free now. Now we're paying for it, and we're paying for Netflix, but whatever. We're not paying that much, and it's still pretty much basically for free, And we have Netflix even without Mystery Science Theater. So looking forward to Mystery Science Theater 3000. Just a little over 2 weeks away. That'll be a nice Chol Hamoed treat. Simchas Yantiv, and I saw the trailer for that. It had Reptilicus, so that's pretty cool, Reptilicus, because I love that movie. That's one that I bought on VHS when I was a kid. I used to watch over and over again, and I especially love the Copenhagen travelogue, showing the Little Mermaid statue, and so it's just like, monsters attacking, but let's take a tour of the city, I don't know, there's something very special about that. Dark Corners did Reptilicus once. I don't think Brandon Tennell did it yet, so maybe someday. But I'm looking for. I was wondering why Riff Tracks never did Reptilicus, and they're bound to do it now. It seems. I'm thinking because there's a few movies that both Cinematic Titanic and Riff Tracks did. The only one I can really think of is Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, and that one was also a Mystery Science Theater episode. And it's considered like one of the essential Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes. So I'm wondering if maybe now that the new Mystery Science Theater is doing Reptilicus, will Riff Tracks do Reptilicus? I don't know. That would be interesting. They did Mothra. That was fun, and I'm disappointed that won't be released, for download, because that's for streaming or whatever. Because that was pretty cool. And it surprises me because Mill Creek Entertainment has a release of Mothra. So if they were able to get the rights to release Mothra on a DVD set with 2 Ray Harryhausen movies and The Giant Claw, it's basically all Columbia Pictures movies, or Columbia Pictures releases. I mean, that's a Toho movie. Mothra was released by Columbia. How was that Mill Creek Entertainment was able to get the rights to release that on DVD and Riff Tracks wasn't able to? I mean, I would pay a little extra, like instead of the regular, $10 for a Riff Tracks feature, I would pay like 15, to give, whatever to Toho or to Columbia. So I'm surprised why they're not letting that be released, but whatever, I don't know. The past couple of months, Shout Factory TV had a bunch of Godzilla movies, and now they're not up anymore, and I'm kind of disappointed because there's not that many original Godzilla movies, or really any Godzilla movies that are being streamed for free, anywhere or places that I'm already subscribed to. And there used to be a lot more, and they seem to be up, and I don't know, you always got to search, but it was pretty cool when Shout Factory TV is one of my favorite Roku channels, and definitely probably the best free Roku channel. I mean, other than just YouTube, and what do you call it? Pluto TV is great, because it's like a regular TV channel, a bunch of TV channels, but sometimes it skips, whatever. But this, what do you call it? Shout Factory TV. If you have Roku or just online, awesome channel. You got Mystery Science Theater 3000, of course, amazing. A whole bunch of episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000 on shoutfactorytv.com for free. A plethora, maybe just about half of all the episodes are up there. So that's great. It also has the Film Crew, which was the precursor to Riff Tracks. Pretty cool. There were 4 episodes. It has 3 of them up.
GPS signal lost.
I don't know why it doesn't have the Killers from Space one, which is my favorite one. But also Weird Al, the Weird Al Show, the Saturday morning cartoon Weird Al Show, which was only 14 episodes, which is basically like a Pee-wee's Playhouse type of show. That's a lot of fun. And also I think the Complete Al is also on there, which is also awesome. I'm kind of looking forward to the complete works of Weird Al coming out soon. But also some old movies which are great, and a lot of other things which are fun. Get all the Gamera movies and Jerry and Sylvia Anderson, puppet shows, which are fun. But what I really love is some of the best sitcoms from the 50s, namely Dobie Gillis, awesome, Car 54, awesome, and the original Dennis the Menace, who also we met at Monster Bash a few years ago, the same time Joel was there. Awesome. I know. My wife always talks about how we met. It was Dennis, the guy who played Dennis the Menace, Jay North, and the one who played Margaret. I don't remember her name. She's a chiropractor now. They were there together, and they were just about to leave, and we were like, can you tell us about Gail Gordon? That's the kind of nerds that we are. And then they were like, you know what? Joseph Kearns was also on our Miss Brooks. I know. All right, whatever it is. So whatever. I'm probably boring a lot of you, but if you made it this far, I give you a lot of credit. Please like, share, and subscribe. I know I really went off on a tangent here. We're almost up to the hour point, so I can't imagine anyone's going to listen to anything more. So, well, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and God bless. And please tell us in the comments whatever you want to talk about with what we discussed this evening. All right, thank you for watching and listening. Really, especially if you made it this long. And enjoy. Thank you.